So, how does a continent-spanning catastrophe that kills millions begin? With paperwork and poor architectural choices. In 1618, in Prague, some Protestant nobles were rather upset with their Catholic overlords. Instead of writing a strongly worded letter, they opted for a more direct approach. They marched into Prague Castle and threw two imperial regents plus their secretary out of a third-story window, a 70-foot drop. This what passed for high-stakes political negotiation. Miraculously, all three survived. The Catholics claimed divine intervention, that angels cushioned their fall. The Protestants, being more practical, pointed to the giant pile of manure and castle refuse they landed in. And so, the 30 Years' War began not with a bang, but with a squish. Europe decided this theological disagreement over angelic physics versus dung pile physics was worth 30 years of unrelenting slaughter. At the heart of the matter was Ferdinand II, the new Holy Roman Emperor, a man so devoutly Catholic he made the Pope look casual. He believed Protestantism was a nasty rash that needed to be cured with fire. The Bohemians, not keen on this particular brand of skincare, offered their crown to Frederick V, a German Calvinist. Frederick accepted, a decision with all the foresight of a hamster. His reign lasted one winter, earning him the nickname the Winter King, a much cooler title than his actual performance deserved. Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of the action. Spain, being Habsburg buddies with Ferdinand, jumped in. The Dutch Republic jumped in to fight Spain. Denmark jumped in because why not? A local Bohemian revolt had successfully gone viral, and every power in Europe was smashing that subscribe button. Wars are expensive. Ferdinand II didn't have the cash to crush the rebellion, which is where Albrecht von Wallenstein comes in. Think of him as the world's first military-industrial complex rolled into one terrifying man. He made the emperor a simple offer: I'll raise and pay for a massive army myself. The catch? The army pays for itself by mercilessly plundering every territory it walks through, friendly or not. It was a brilliant, sociopathic business model. Wallenstein's army swelled to over 100,000 men, loyal only to him and his paycheck. He became the richest man in the empire, a kingmaker who was also deeply obsessed with astrology, making major military decisions based on his horoscope. Eventually, he got so powerful, Ferdinand figured he was a liability and had him assassinated in 1634. A predictable end for anyone who outshocks the sharks. Just when the Catholics thought they had it in the bag, a new player entered the game, Gustavus Adolphus, King of Sweden, the Lion of the North. He landed in Germany in 1630 with a professional, well-drilled army that introduced innovative tactics like mobile artillery and volley fire. They were terrifyingly effective. For a while, the Swedes seemed invincible, cutting through the imperial forces. But who was funding this Protestant crusade? None other than Cardinal Richelieu of France. Yes, a powerful cardinal in the Catholic Church was slipping bags of cash to the Lutherans. Why? Because his only goal was to weaken the Habsburgs, his Catholic rivals. Religion was officially just the team jersey at this point. The actual game was a brutal contest for political power, and everyone's jersey was covered in mud and blood. It's easy to talk about armies and kings. It's harder to grasp the sheer scale of the suffering. This wasn't just a war, it was a demographic apocalypse. The Holy Roman Empire lost somewhere between 20 to 40% of its population. Some regions were hit much harder. Württemberg lost 3/4 of its people. The Palatinate, where the war began, lost over 80%. Brandenburg saw half its population vanish. This wasn't all from fighting. Most deaths came from the war's side effects: famine, as armies stole all the food, and disease, which spread like wildfire through displaced populations. The famous 4 horsemen of the apocalypse weren't just a metaphor, they were a daily reality. People forgot what a normal life even was. Life for a civilian was a special kind of hell. Armies were essentially mobile locust swarms. They'd strip a region bare, and when there was nothing left, they'd move on. Social order completely collapsed. To pay for it all, rulers resorted to debasing their currency during a period called the Kipper- und Wipper-Zeit, causing hyperinflation that made savings worthless overnight. People ate grass, leather, and eventually each other. Contemporary accounts, like the novel Simplicissimus, are filled with casual descriptions of cannibalism born of sheer desperation. There are verified records of towns where the only meat available was from the gallows. This is the world that the grand strategies of kings and cardinals created, a world where human beings were just another resource to be consumed. If you need one event to summarize the war's horror, look at the sack of Magdeburg in 1631. A prosperous Protestant city, it was besieged by imperial forces under Count Tilly. When the city fell, the soldiers, unpaid and unrestrained, were let loose. What followed was a frenzy of violence so extreme it shocked a continent already numb to brutality. Of the 25,000 citizens, only 5,000 survived, mostly by hiding in the cathedral. The city was burned to the ground. Otto von Guericke, a resident who would later become a renowned scientist, wrote that all our goods and belongings were given as booty to the enemy. The massacre was so infamous that Magdeburgization became a common term for total destruction. The event was chillingly nicknamed the Magdeburg Wedding, a union between the city and death. How festive! After 30 years, everyone was exhausted, broke, and running out of people to kill. So they decided to talk. The Peace of Westphalia wasn't one treaty, but a whole series. The negotiations dragged on for years in 2 different cities because the Protestants and Catholics refused to meet in the same place. They argued about titles and who got to sit where, while people were still dying. The final result? The religious map of the empire was mostly reset to where it was before the war, with Calvinism now officially recognized. A stunning achievement. The real legacy was political. The treaty essentially gutted the Holy Roman Emperor's power and established the principle that states are sovereign within their own borders. They had stumbled backwards into creating the modern state system. It only cost millions of lives to write a new chapter in a political science textbook. The war was over. But the damage was permanent. It took Germany over a century to recover its population, and in some ways, it never recovered its unity. The Holy Roman Empire was now a hollow shell, a patchwork of hundreds of tiny, independent states. This fragmentation would define German history for the next 200 years. The trauma was etched into the German psyche, a cultural memory of chaos that would later fuel a desire for strong, centralized authority. The war that started over religion ended up killing God, in a way. It demonstrated that faith was a terrible organizing principle for politics. Rulers learned that stability and power were far more important than theological correctness. It was the bloody, agonizing birth of a more secular and infinitely more cynical Europe. A 30-year lesson in how to achieve almost nothing at the highest possible price. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!